throne world, to the campaign, to the customizable build crafting, it all comes together to make Destiny feel really new and fresh.
We've got more Destiny coming this year than any other year before. It's one of the most ambitious releases we've ever put together, and the team is firing on all cylinders.
Tell me, Guardian, what do you think you're going to do?
Yo, welcome Assassins. Today we're going to be covering the new vid that Bungie just put out for Witch Queen. Holy crap, there's a lot of stuff in here. Void 3.0, there is weapon crafting, campaign. Man, it looks great. Let's jump into it and take a look.
What's really going to be exciting for players is that they're going to get to play that part of psychic detective, trying to solve the many mysteries of the throne world.
Yes.
Witch Queen campaign, I think, is probably the most ambitious campaign we've made in a very long time.
We're building the definitively Destiny campaign, so leaning into the journey you can find in exotic missions or the mechanics you might find in a dungeon.
You have to kind of think your way through. You have to figure out, like, hey, what do I need to do next in order to get to the end of this?
We've got Savathun, right? The Queen of Lies. So this campaign is full of surprises.
Savathun has all these abilities, and you got to make sure that all of the abilities of the bosses would be something worthy of her. And as I kept thinking about this, you know, I felt like I was really becoming Savathun.
We've also added the legendary difficulty, which is called Become Legend.
It's not for the faint of heart. It's going to be loaded with these moments that are going to be frustrating, almost like teeth gnashing, but when you get through those encounters, you're going to feel like really accomplished.
Double rewards, yeah.
As people who have worked on raids and dungeons before, being able to broaden that experience for any kind of player who comes in is really important.
If the Witch Queen is the psychic detective fantasy and journey, then Season of the Risen is that same detective throwing on their flak jacket and defending Earth from the Hive Guardians and the Lucent Hive and Savathun herself.
When Savathun shows up on our doorstep with the light, the first person to lend us help is Keitel.
Nice.
You want us to hit them? I need us to hit them.
She's got this light suppressing technology that the Cabal were using in Season of the Chosen, and now she's going to help us use that against the Lucent Hive.
Hell yeah.
With Keitel, she has a different approach. It's not about asking questions, it's about getting in there and extracting.
We don't really understand what happened when Savathun actually was able to take the light. So the campaign in Season of the Risen in many ways is about that story. Guardians need to stop Savathun's advance beyond the throne world. And Savathun poses an existential threat to everyone because she basically has an undead army.
In fighting the Lucent Brood, this isn't our first time in the game fighting other Lightbearers, but it is the first time that we'll be facing other Lightbearers that have much more relentless motives.
When you look at these Hive Guardians and when they do their abilities, you immediately make that connection like, oh, they are using my powers against me. As soon as we see the Knight pop its super and it has 2 shields, you immediately are like, oh yeah, I see that connection. And then it's like, and then you're like, it hits you with those things and then you're dead. And it's just an amazing experience.
The Guardians themselves kind of feel like a fire team that you're fighting against. You got every class represented.
The Acolyte, when that character casts, does very similar thing as the player, like the Arc Wizard. The sparks go out, it's ready to go. If you're not smart about it, if you're not paying attention, you are essentially going to have to play that fight over again.
If you're successful in taking down one of these Hive units that are wielding the light, you actually have to go up and kill their ghosts.
That was like one of my favorite things that we were able to do in this game, is just that moment where you crush the ghost.
It's kind of this moral dilemma.
Wow.
A ghost is your companion, and now suddenly you have one in your hand and you're about to crush it.
The first time it happens, you're like looking at your hand like, I can't believe what I've just done. Am I doing this? Should I be doing this?
I have a ghost.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What
Like,
is going on?
Their passion on this game just is unreal.
Lucent Brood are the most dangerous enemies we've faced so far. And so
we wanted to introduce a special weapon archetype that was effective more at a middle range, but also had these kind of additional roles associated with it. The glaive is a projectile weapon, and it is a shield, and it's a melee weapon. We wanted to keep that experience in first person. It has an immediacy that you don't really get when you're using a sword because the camera is so much further back. Because this is also a projectile weapon with a slower moving projectile, the onus of skill on aiming these weapons is about leading and compensating for the speed of the projectile and anticipating that. If you're in a really difficult encounter and one of your teammates dies somewhere out in the open where you normally wouldn't be able to get to them, you can bring that shield up and actually get them.
Hell yeah, that's huge.
Glaives originate with Savathun trying to steal an extremely powerful weapon for her own use, and players will use the weapon crafting recipes that they find throughout the campaign in order to reconstruct this incredibly powerful and incredibly ancient weapon.
When you put together your glaive in the campaign, you just get a taste that that's what you want to do for the rest of the weapons that you get.
Weapon crafting lets you target a specific role and go and build that, and you know how long it's going to take you to get there, and you get exactly the thing that you want.
I really want to see what people do with it.
Glaives
and,
are
the
special
feedback that we're
weapons.
gonna get, and people sharing all
That's
of the
interesting.
things that they're doing with that new system.
You're creating your Guardian, and you want to be able to shape your Guardian into what you want them to be. And this gives us a great opportunity to continue to do that.
This is a really big season for weapons in particular. We've got 8 brand new exotics. The Osteostreaker exotic submachine gun. This is something which Guardians have made, but it's modeled after weapons of sorrow, like Thorn and Touch of Malice. Fires swarms of tiny homing projectiles that land on a target and then explode in this poison burst. We have an exotic machine gun where the whole idea is be the Colossus. You can launch a barrage of up to 20 homing missiles.
It's a comical amount of projectiles on the screen.
We're doing an exotic glaive for each class this time, and the exotic perks tie deeply into the mechanics of the classes. We think they're going to be really cool additions to build crafting. We've got, the usual suite of raid weapons, destination, activity, seasonal. I recounted it this morning, and I think it's about 50 new weapons.
Oh, wow, 50.
You're going to have 2 new exotic armor for each class, totaling 6, 1 stasis, 1 non-stasis. The Titan stasis exotic. Cast your barricade, and instead of, this Traveler's Light and the Rally Barricade, you create a giant wall of ice. Even though this thing is massive, you still get all the benefits of Rally Barricade. Warlock Void exotic, we called them the Devouring Rift legs because we wanted Empowering Rift to feel like it had a place in endgame content the way that Healing Rift does.
Oh,
Empowering
wow.
Rift doesn't heal you. Well, what if it did?
Whoa.
In Season 16, you're going to see a massive revamp
That's
of the Void
huge.
subclass system.
Here we
across
go.
All 3 classes. This is a huge update and will allow players to build craft in ways
Oh,
that
it's going to be
they've
just
never
like
done
stasis. Dude,
One of the
that's
things we
awesome.
wanted to do is create a core set of verbs like we did with stasis.
Anyone can run suppressors now. I think that's the pretty
That's
cool
huge.
I'm going to be running suppressor grenade
Oh,
probably.
We wanted you to feel like you were the energy vampire, feel like you were the Night Stalker, feel like you were that protector, that big Sentinel Titan. So you're going to see things like Bastion, a new Titan aspect, where you take your big old Sentinel shield, slam it into the ground, and create this void barricade that's going to apply overshield to you and your buddies.
My favorite aspect is probably Child of the Field Gods. As this warlock controlling space and time, I'm able to rip a hole into another dimension and then pull out this little sentient black hole. Whenever I target an enemy, my little black hole buddy is gonna fly over there.
Oh,
and start draining their
man.
life